new commissions? Specifically one with a huge more attack, perhaps? Paimon's just being enthusiastic. We're old friends now, she gets it.
It's always a pleasure to see our two most avid adventurers again. Actually, we do in fact have a rather urgent commission that is still open. Having read the details, however, I don't believe you'd consider it to be—
Don't worry about that. We were just kidding.
To put it simply, the requester is looking for a temporary replacement actress for their musical. The original cast member ran into some issues, but the troupe has also been experiencing some financial difficulties. So unfortunately, they can—
That does sound like a tricky situation.
That's right. Our adventurers reached out to many actresses, but none of them were willing to take the job. There are only a few days left until the performance. If they can't find someone in time, they'll probably have to postpone the show. And delays tend to create all—
Got it. Oh, this one's a doozy. What do you think, Trap? Even if we took the commission, neither of us have any experience starring in musicals.
If you're interested in helping, why not start by having a chat with the requester? Maybe you can't fill the role yourselves, but you might be able to help him figure out another solution. Maybe there's some—
Oh, it's that guy, huh? No wonder, he looks like he just ate a sour lemon. Paimon approved. Hello there, are you the guy looking for a new actress?
Wait, I know you two. Are you really willing to act in my music?
Wow, sounds like we're pretty famous in Fontaine. But to answer your question, neither of us have any experience in musicals. But we heard that you're in a bit of a bind, so we figured we could at least try to help you think of a—
I see. It's okay. I knew that asking for a volunteer— If we can't find someone to step in, we'll have no choice but to cancel the show. It would be such a shame. That's the thing. We're not some high-profile theater troupe. All our sets and props are very crude. We're grateful enough just to get an audience, never mind ticket fees. If we had a way to make this profitable, things might have turned out differently. But now—
Disband? You're splitting up the
Oh, I guess the lady at the Adventurers Guild didn't tell you? Yeah, this is one last show. And after that, we go our separate ways. So we were really hoping to end on a high note. Nobody wants things to just fizzle out. Not after all the time and effort we've invested into it. Yeah, the leading lady, in fact. She's been dealing with a chronic illness ever since childhood, and unfortunately, it flared up again recently. It really drains all her energy, so the show just won't be the same without her. But for everyone else's sake, I still hope we can find a—
Got it. We have a clearer picture now. What if we sponsored the show? Traveler, how much more are you carrying?
Please, there's no need to go that far. I wouldn't feel right asking such a huge favor, and I can't promise that we'd ever be able to pay you back.
Good point. If the actress just goes through the motions for the Mora, that's not exactly rescuing the we should find someone who will put on the best performance possible. Oh, wait! What about... you know... That's how you know we're the best of partners. Anyway, she should have all the free time in the world. She's really good at performing, and she was once super popular with the crowd. Performing in a musical should be a piece of...
Who are you thinking of? Sounds like someone famous. Her? That was a joke.
Nope. Paimon doesn't actually know if she's performed on stage before, but Paimon's pretty confident that she'd be really good.
You're not wrong there. She has actually performed in a number of big-name shows before. They were one of the reasons she was so popular. But even if she's no longer the Hydro Archon, it's not like she's still an idol to many people in Fontaine, including myself. I just think Lady Furina might feel a bit out of place in an amateur troupe like ours. Well, fair enough. I mean, if she was actually willing to, then of course I'd be honored to have Lady Furina star in our I'm sure everyone in our troupe has probably dreamt of performing on stage. Of course, it all depends on whether she's interested.
No point in stressing about that. We only know. And besides, things are different now. There's no reason for her to be all high and mighty anymore.
Thank you for your help.
Wait, where does Furina actually live nowadays? She used to live in luxury at the Palais Mermonia, but...
As it happens, I have her current address here. I can provide it to you.
Woo! When did you...
I came over when things were starting to sound more promising. I thought I should be at the ready in case my assistance is... It is my duty to support Commissioner...
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Well, now that we've got the address, we'll go find Furina. Did Catherine really give us the right address? She lives here? Not that there's anything wrong with this place. It's just, a bit of a...
You know, it's common courtesy to make sure the homeowner isn't in earshot when you're denigrating their abode.
Ah! Okay, when did popping out of thin air become all the rage? First Catherine and now you?
I was just out on a shopping trip. I ran out of macaroni, so I went to grab a few more bags. I used to have a much wider range of choices when it came to food. But now I'm finding that simple, traditional home cooking can be quite delicious too. Not at all. As long as you have different kinds of sauces in, you can have macaroni and tomato sauce one week, macaroni and bolognese the next.
Oh, sounds like you're really struggling to cope.
How rude. Questioning my cooking skills. It's not like I have a very eventful life these days. Actually, I barely leave the house. So I don't see how it's unusual that my meals are a little simpler now too. Besides, I'm sure I could master dishes like la lettre focilor or blubber profiteroles in no time, if I felt so inclined.
Ah, there it is. You don't know how to cook.
Not yet, maybe, but... Anyway, what are you even doing here? I do hope you didn't come here just... Let me first be clear that I'm not taking guests at this time. So if you're just here to clown around, then please be...
Sorry! We're sorry! Please don't be mad! Yeah, exactly! What the traveler said! Paimon wasn't trying to... Hang on a sec, you weren't exactly holding back either!
My help? Well, maybe you're forgetting that I'm no longer the
Don't worry, it's nothing that serious. It's just very specific, and you're the one with the power to help.
Oh? Well, if that's the case, then fine. I'll spare you the lecture. So tell me, what specifically... I see. I knew you couldn't have come all this way just to amuse yourself. After all, I was once the brightest star in all of Fontaine, well versed in all the various performing arts. A mere musical is well within my... But given the present circumstances...
How come? It sounds like this would be a breeze for you.
True, but I have made a decision to retire. Although I am no longer required to play the role of the Hydro Archon, the time I spent inhabiting that character has left an indelible mark. Centuries of pretending to be a different person changes you completely. Of course, that can't be undone now. It's too late. But at least I can say that I no longer desire to play any new roles.
Paimon can understand, but this is just a one-off part to fill in for someone who's sick. Surely...
Whether it's a one-off or not, it's a boundary that If I make an exception to the rule now, I'm just leaving a back door for myself. Which would be the same as not having a boundary, so I'm not going to perform. And that...
Okay, guess there's no convincing you. Well, is there anything else we can do to help out the troupe? Otherwise, they'll just have to disband without any... Do you know any other actors who might be interested in
help.
Short and to the point.
I've never been great at maintaining relationships. Besides, anyone I've ever... Since I'm just an ordinary person now, they'll probably just laugh in my face if I go asking them for help. True, but I mean, could you even blame them? I show up out of the blue, begging and groveling for their help with a show they won't even get paid for? Oh, no way. I'm dying from embarrassment just thinking about it. Nope.
Well, is there anything else we can do? This performance really means...
Have I not made myself clear? You're barking up the wrong tree. I don't want this job, nor do I know of anyone else who... Sorry. I didn't mean for that to sound so harsh. I wish I could help, really. But if I thought I had the answer to this problem...
It's all right, Furina. Paimon just wanted to make sure we tried everything. Oh, everyone in the troupe will be so disappointed. Yeah, I guess that's all we can do now. All right, then.
Toodaloo to you, too. I'm going home.
It's too bad, but we have to respect Furina's decision. Maybe the thought of performing brings up too many... Huh? What's going on? Are they arguing?
That's besides the point. I'll ask you again. Why did you start looking for a replacement without my consent? When did I tell you I'm going to take a
You didn't need to say it. We've known each other for how long now? We know the signs. But you never tell us about your illness, even when it's clearly flaring.
And that gives you the right to make a decision on my...
Shortly after you left, the troupe's lead actress came to the Adventurers Guild. Excuse me, but can you both take a moment to discuss something else for now? The adventurer assigned to your commission has returned.
Sorry, I was just dealing with a little misunderstanding.
Sadly, it's a no from her. We tried to persuade her, but she wasn't having it. She doesn't want to play the role for...
I see. Well, circumstances have changed a little, so maybe that's not such bad news after all. You see, our leading lady has just informed me that she's well enough to make it to the show after all. Staging the musical with the full original cast was always the dream.
Oh, right! Sounds like everything worked itself out then. Yeah, she'd be livid. We'd get the scolding of a lifetime.
Jeez, is Lady Furina really so hard?
Only joking, calm down. So, guess we can consider this case closed now. Despite the fact that we failed to complete the commission, we were still racking our brains for ideas on the way back.
Look, there's no point arguing with you about this anymore. You've made yourself very clear, so I'll stop. This is the last chance we have, though. If your illness flares up again, there won't be time to find anyone to replace. So, are you absolutely sure you'll be able to handle it? The whole team is putting everything they have into this final performance. We have to make...
Yes, I'm completely confident. I've been taking a new medication from the doctor, and it's working brilliantly. I'll definitely be able to tough it out until I share everyone's desire to commemorate all... Every one of us thinks of this troupe as their...
You're right.
All's well that ends well. Sounds like the show will go on. Sure.
Hey, how did you... I was just passing by because I realized I forgot... All right, I'm coming. No need to drag me. Hello, one and all. I couldn't...
Furina? Didn't you say you were gonna take a rest at home? What are you doing here?
I was just ever so slightly concerned about the situation you mentioned. Yes, a teensy bit concerned. When you came to talk with me earlier, I jumped right to explaining my position and said, and all before I even had a full grasp of the situation. Anyway, I just feel a bit... I'm sorry, Paimon.
Oh, it's totally fine. Paimon didn't take any of that personally.
You really have a knack for asking the most uncomfortable questions. I felt very sheepish, having had a change of heart after flatly refusing you. And then to make matters worse, but in any case, it sounds like the issue has already been resolved.
Yeah. When they said they were gonna ask for your help, I almost had a heart attack. I mean, how could we be worthy of having Lady Furina star in our show?
There's no need to think like that, and no need to keep addressing me as lady. Just Furina is fine. I was wondering, if this troupe is so important to all of you, if the difficulties are purely financial, then there must be a solution. You could put the shows on pause while you look for a sponsor, for everyone seems so devoted to the troupe. I'm sure if you keep chipping away, you'll find a way through.
We all want to believe that, but some things are just beyond our Everything's been going downhill ever since we lost our director. She was the heart and soul of our troupe.
Her name was O'Reilly, and she was the founder as well as the artistic director of our troupe. And tragically, she was a victim in the serial disappearances case.
What?
That's actually how I recognized these two. It was all thanks to their efforts that the true culprit was brought to justice. But still, no sentence can bring our director back.
She was a loyal fan of your performances, Miss Furina. They were what first inspired her to get into musical theater. She rallied many people around her who were destitute or had lost their sense of purpose in life and convinced them to join her troupe. She wrote her own scripts, acted on stage, and mentored. People loved our performances back then. We seemed to be going from strength to strength.
And then disaster struck.
Yeah. After that, the entire troupe, none of us know anything about script writing, let alone how to handle the business side of things. We've been doing the best we can. But despite our efforts, things are slowly but surely. It's agonizing. But ultimately, we'd rather end things now on our own terms than stick it out to the bitter end and watch all our dreams.
Oh.
What a terrible waste. A gifted artist from humble beginnings who achieved so much and no doubt had much more to give. And then her life was... I suppose it's fair to say then that this final show, besides being your farewell to the stage, is also your...
Yes, exactly.
Well, good thing I followed the traveler here. After hearing this tragic tale, I can no longer stand by and...
Furina?
I know what you're thinking, but I by no means plan to cross the boundary I've set for myself. Besides, they're no longer looking for a replacement. I can, however, provide some artistic guidance from the vantage point of a highly experienced audience, but only if you feel this is something that would help, of course.
Oh, most definitely. We'll take any...
We unfortunately don't have any budget for a consultant, though. Will that...
I don't need any compensation. All I'd ask in return, if you're willing, is that you tell me some more about the life and work of your late director. Something I've begun to realize since my departure from the Opera Epiclese is that there's a lot you don't see when you observe everything. The law only judges criminal behavior and does not weigh human emotion. The court's verdict can settle the question of criminal liability. What about all the unresolved emotions of the parties involved? What happens to them? An interesting answer. But if you ask me, I think all emotion shall ultimately return home to the heart and slowly settle with the Take, par exemple, how this troupe pines for their late director. Things such as this I have never witnessed before, and so I should like to observe, perchance to
Still a fan of your old dramatic monologues then, huh? You just want to get back in on the action, don't you?
No. This is a completely different situation.
The name's not Swine, it's Paimon!
Would you be willing to join me? Come on, take a break from adventuring to listen to a story.
Thank you all so much. Our director was a huge fan of Miss Furina's performances, as of course we all are. All right, follow me. We'll go to our usual practice space. Please excuse the size.
be an extra fee for that. Oh. Exactly. None of them believe
Huh? Lady Furina?
What's Lady Furina doing here?
Hello, all. Allow me to explain. As of today, Miss Furina will be supporting our production of The Little Oceanid in the role of artistic. These two over here are the ones that made it possible. They kindly reached out to Miss Furina on our behalf. I'm sure they need no. You bet! That was the trial of the.
You helped bring our director's murderer to justice. We can't thank.
Oh, please don't mention it. We're just here to join in on the.
So, you were saying The Little Ocean?
Yeah, that's the name of our final show. It's an unfinished script left behind by our director. One of our greatest regrets is that she never got to complete it. So, if we can bring it to the stage and make it a successful show, we can all take some
Wait, but if it's not finished, then.
Yeah, we've been battling issues on every front trying to realize this dream. Anyway, let me give you a quick summary of what the protagonist of the story is: a young Oceanid who transforms herself into human form. She longed to live just like any other human. And sure enough, she found friendship and even love. But one day, her true identity was exposed, and her world.
So far, so good. A classic.
That's one of the issues we've been trying to deal with. Unfortunately, this was as far as. We need a proper ending so we can bring this musical to the stage. But people have different opinions on which direction to take it in.
We still haven't decided between a happy ending or a true-to-life tragedy.
By true to life, you mean.
Yeah, like they say, truth is strange, but then there's the question of whether we really want to use the stage to pass our raw pain onto the audience.
Exactly. A lot of the time, people come to watch a show just hoping for some light entertainment. We have to consider their emotional stake in this. And one last thing. We're still waiting on confirmation from two of our main actors. The first is Paulo, who plays the protagonist's lover. He's locked himself away to focus on writing an ending for the script. But the deadline's passed, and the other is Villemont, who plays the main antagonist. He took the director's death pretty hard. Hasn't set foot in the city since. He did write to us, promising that he'll be there for the final performance, but we haven't seen or heard from him since.
Although, now that we have Miss Furina helping us,
What opportunity?
maybe you're unaware, but your name has always been like a rallying cry for us.
Our director was constantly singing your praises. All of us look up to you as a role model.
Oh, stop. You're making me all flustered. I suspect the reason they're dragging their feet is that they have their doubts about whether the show will really go ahead, considering all the issues. But one by one, all the obstacles are being removed. Now is the time.
Makes sense. Okay, priority number 1, let's check in with Paulo and see where he's at with the end. He went back to Poisson a few days ago. Said that staying in a friend's home might help him to relax and escape the.
I thought the last thing his friend would want right now would be to take visitors, given that Poisson was flooded not too long ago. But I guess it's the opposite.
Yeah, maybe he could use some company.
Poisson. Nothing. I suppose my presence will be indispensable if we are to restore his faith in the show. So allons-y. To Poisson!
If I remember correctly, this is where he's staying.
Who is it?
It's me. Is the script...
You came all the way here for...
all right. Forget that for now. Just come on out. We've got...
Nice try. Look, just give me some time, okay? I'm just wrapping up this last part of the script. I'll be out once I'm done.
Okay, then. Looking for...
So, as expected, he's missed.
The ending is one of the most even once he's done, it isn't final until we've all had the chance to read through and make sure we agree.
Someone told me they'd just seen you in Poisson. I assumed it was a case of mistaken identity, but sure enough, here you are.
I was wondering if we might run into...
So, you're here for Paolo? Looks like he could be a while, so feel free to take a stroll around town in the meantime. I've made all the...
Oh, it's okay. We can just wait here...
Thank you for being so considerate, Miss Navia. That sounds wonderful. We'll take that. Get over here, you! How oblivious are you?
How are things in Poisson now?
Things are on the mend, but it's a slow process. Some people may never recover from the trauma they experienced.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Please, must our conversations take such a depressing turn every time? We all have painful memories, but we don't have to let them cloud everything we do. And if you're trying to make a new start, perhaps it's best if you don't bring up the past all the time.
Thank you for your words of comfort. But for now, at least, I think I should stay with the way I'm feeling for a while longer.
It's okay. These things take time. Moving on from which brings me to why I'm here. I thought you should probably know that not everyone here is ready to forgive and forget after the Hydro Archon's inaction in the face of catastrophe. To avoid upsetting the peace, I told the townspeople that everyone here is a member of the theater troupe, and that you are just an actress. It's not a perfect solution, but hopefully it means you won't have to lie low while you're here.
That's so thoughtful of you, Navia.
Well, what do you expect? I am the courageous and considerate president of Spina di Rosula. Anyway, that was all. Look after her now.
Off we go then. Let's take a look up there. I don't have any friends that I can be frank and honest with, so maybe she's right. I'm so grateful that Miss Navia was so understanding. To be perfectly honest, I didn't know if I was ready to meet her. It's always easiest to just run away from your problems. But that never fixes anything.
So that's why you were nervous when they brought up...
Yeah. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't scared of coming back here. Still, I felt it was something I had to do. As I was saying before, I want to see if I'd be overjoyed if the people here could find it in their hearts to forgive me. But they're more likely to unleash a tirade of vitriol against me, which, of course, I completely understand. Yeah, I can tell people are watching me. I'm sure some people here see the idea of someone coming to Poisson dressed as the Hydro Archon as extremely disrespectful. I used to be terrified of the gaze of other people, especially when they had suspicion. I guess I was.
I'm not surprised you're making yourself go through all of this.
I can't let myself see only the things I want to see. How would that make me any different from before?
Look! There seems to be a crowd gathering over there.
Probably time we made a move. How about we check out Spina di Rasula's ship? We should have a view of the whole of Poisson from there. I'm sorry. You probably just wanted a relaxing stroll. And here I am dumping all this heavy...
We don't mind. It's actually refreshing to see a different side of you.
Great. Well, I appreciate your company, so please don't disappear just yet. I don't know whether you can tell, but the years of suffering and loneliness aren't the only reason I have a hard time facing up to who I used to be. As I stand here by the ship, I can't get the images of the rising water out of my mind. One after another, people were taken by the water. All those treasured lives and memories washed out of existence, and they thought their God would protect them. They had absolute faith that when disaster struck, a divine power would save them from harm. And all the while, I played my part to perfection to convince them that was true. But then the floodwaters finally came. And
You shouldn't look at it like that. You were only doing your duty.
I've had to go through so many moments like that for the sake of protecting the truth. As time went on, it got harder and harder to bear. And I became more lonely and isolated. Eventually, I realized I had nothing left except the truth. I became terrified of completely failing in my task and was haunted by the thought of being left all alone. Fortunately, we were able to avoid the worst-case scenario thanks to the help of heroic individuals such as yourself. Everyone rose to their responsibilities. But on some level, freedom also means no longer...
I would have never imagined you'd see it that way.
Reward? I guess so. Back then, I didn't even dare to dream about having someone to I was scared of someone recognizing me for who I truly was. And believe in the Furina you see on stage. She is... I had to keep all my feelings, all my curiosity about life to myself. That's what I really meant when I said I'm no good at maintaining...
So that's where you were coming from. Paimon totally thought you were just a bit of a diva at heart.
Could you please get off my case? I don't know what's gotten into you today. I'm making an effort here. You could at least try to do the same. I do. I once had nothing but the truth, and now I'm finally free to live my own life again. And even though at least the choice is in my... All right, it's about time to head back. Paulo should have finished...
Sure. Okay, let's head back.
Didn't you say you needed to watch what you eat? You're supposed to be cutting down on fried foods, not wolfing down copious quantities of fish and chips, you know?
Come on. It's not every day we get to dine at Spina di Rosula's expense. Can you believe how generous she is? I'm not about to pass on free... Anyway, my character doesn't need to be slim and good-looking.
Are you kidding me right now? It's not your character's health I'm worried about. It's your... I've spent my whole life battling the effects of ill health. And it kills me to watch you willingly ruin yours by filling yourself up with junk all the time.
Oh no, looks like there are... We're back! Could you maybe put your differences aside for a moment?
Ah, you're back. We've been enjoying Spina di Rosula's VIP treatment in your stead. Paulo's nearly done. We shouldn't have to wait too much longer.
Great! So you were discussing your characters, right? We heard she's playing the Oceanid who turns into a human girl.
Me? I'm an Oceanid too.
He was originally supposed to take the form of a crane, but he... outgrew that role. Well, the costume at least. So now he's playing the boar instead.
Sorry.
The boar's not a bad character, actually. He's the one who raises the little Oceanid.
That's right. He has some pretty memorable lines too, like when he imparts some solemn words of wisdom to the little Oceanid. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness. Is this truly what you want?
Wait, that sounds kind of familiar.
It's the most important line in the whole script. I think it's a symbolic statement about our director's life and she kept quiet about all the trials and tribulations she faced in running our troupe, allowing us to devote ourselves fully to performing. It was only after she was gone that we realized how tough her job...
You mentioned earlier that the troupe is like your home.
Yeah. I was born with an incurable illness, and once my family found out it couldn't be treated, they decided they didn't want me. I spent some years taking whatever work I could find and trying to manage my illness with various medicines. But whenever I had a bad flare-up, I'd be lying in an alleyway for days at a time. It was like that until the director found me one day. She told me I had a great voice and asked if I was interested in studying singing from her. She took me under her wing, taught me to both sing and act, helped me find Mora for my meds, took care of me when my condition decided to flare up.
She sounds like a really incredible person.
She really was. She gave everything she had to her troupe and the people in it. All of us were... I was a lost child too when she found me. As the child of a murderer. My parents weren't around when I was little, so I got... The other kids were always picking fights with me. They'd say things like, "Come on, you must be pretty tough if you're the son of a murderer." It was just to taunt me, though. One day, I got beaten up so bad that I just couldn't take it anymore, so I ran away. I lost all faith in...
Let me guess. Fortunately...
Yeah. For the first time in my life, I was somewhere I felt safe. And I promised myself I'd stay here until the day the group...
The day you hoped would never come.
Oh, you're finally done? Get your butt over here. There's someone I need to introduce you to. This is our new artistic consultant, Miss
Furina? The Furina? Oh my god, how did you manage to wrangle that?
Please, the honor is all mine. I was profoundly moved to hear about your troupe and your wonderful director. I just wanted to do something to...
Same here.
Even so, this is just... Oh, wow. I'm sorry. I'll try to calm down. Now, yes, the script, of course. Let me give you a rundown of how the story unfolds in my version of the script. I'm sure you're already familiar with the beginning of the story. A little Oceanid decides she wants to become a human. Against the she finds love and friendship in the bustling city. But then, the people start to notice that all the fresh water in the surrounding area is slowly disappearing. The soil is becoming arid, plants and flowers are withering, and the people, the little Oceanid, Cleo, and her lover decide to do something about it and investigate the truth of the... In the end, they discover that all the waste and pollution created by humans over the years has caused the fresh water to flee the land, as if driven by a consciousness of its own.
Consciousness? You mean
Water as a conscious entity.
Since the little Oceanid is a water spirit, she immediately understands how the water is feeling. She then tells her lover about her true identity, as well as the truth behind the crisis. Her lover accepts her for who she is, and works with her to find a way to bring the water back. However, unbeknownst to them, there were some people eavesdropping when she revealed her. The little Oceanid is accused of being directly responsible for driving the water away, and faces the...
And then?
In the end, she makes the brave decision to sacrifice herself to save her lover.
Huh? But didn't they all treat Cleo like a villain? Why would she want to save them after that?
Well, she mainly wanted to save her lover, plus everyone who'd stood up for her.
Through her love for her human partner, she was able to find an even greater love, one that extended to all of humanity. Surely the biggest strength of Cleo.
there's actually something else that bothers me. You know the protagonist is supposed to represent the director, right? And she never had the chance to become a hero in our world. If we're serious about dedicating this show to her memory, we should make the ending as true to life as possible. What about if the little Oceanid is hounded to death by people who hate her, her lover makes sure her secret never gets out, and humanity continues down the path to extinction?
That sounds like too cruel of an ending to me. And perhaps a little irresponsible to present to the audience.
That ending would be a perfect mirror to Director O'Reilly's death. Both arbitrary and... On the day when she went missing, Director O'Reilly had instructed us all, somewhat out of the blue, to leave the court of Fontaine and wait for her outside the city. We waited and waited at the rendezvous point, but she never came. By the time we returned to the city, she disappeared without a trace. We looked for her. The Gardamex looked for her, but she was nowhere to be found. Increasingly, all the signs seemed to point to her being the latest victim in the serial disappearance.
The director was the kindest soul in the world. Yet she was senselessly sacrificed for the sake of a so-called experiment by someone who had nothing to do with her at all.
But doesn't the way she suddenly told you to leave the city suggest that maybe she had some sense of what was about to happen? It almost seems as if she was moving you to safety.
I've been trying to follow up on that ever since, but all my efforts so far have turned up nothing. Villemont might know something, but he won't open up to me.
Villemont? The one who's playing the role of the villain?
Yeah. He's been overwhelmed by grief. I think the director's death hit him hardest of all.
Grief? Guilt, more like. Also, I have a hard time imagining that anyone took it harder than me. Because, well, speaking of the play being true to life, I was deeply, madly in love with O'Reilly.
What? You kept that one.
It's time to be upfront with you all. No more keeping secrets from each other. We'll never be able to agree on the ending if we can't be honest about how we feel. I did tell her how I felt once, but she turned me down pretty much straight away. She said that we were all like brothers and sisters to her, and she never considered us as potential romantic partners. Not that it came as a shock or anything. It was what I was expecting to hear. So I told her I'd always be there for the troupe, and I'd always be there for her. I said, maybe one day in the future, when everyone's settled into their own lives and on the up and up, and managing the troupe no longer required her constant, well, maybe then she could reconsider what. And now, that. Paul. So if I'm the one writing this ending, then I'm gonna make sure it does right by O'Reilly. I won't let anyone get in the way of that.
In that case, you have to straighten things out with Vilmont once and for all. We've all had our differences of opinion over the ending, but those two have never seen eye to eye on anything. One of them has to compromise if we're ever going to reach a final
Well, if that's where we're at, looks like it's time.
Are you ready to face the
Honestly, I'm slightly terrified. But, funny you should ask though. You really do get what I'm going through right now.
I certainly do. Come on, everyone. Hello.
Allow me.
This is tough going. Delphi, are you sure you can manage in your condition?
I could ask you the same question. Try to keep up.
As if this journey wasn't tough enough already without a roadblock.
Don't worry. We should all be fine with the traveler here. We don't need to take a detour. Wait, why are you all looking at me? You're not serious?
We're just curious, that's all. I don't think anyone's ever seen Furina in a fight before.
Yeah, but don't you remember why? The Hydro Archon willingly gave up all her power so it could be converted into indemnitium. Miss Furina.
Precisely. And I'm not even the Hydro Archon anymore, so all my power is gone. As much as it pains me, unfortunately, I should just stay put. I'm more like a...
That sounded so smug. Ugh, secondhand embarrassment is unbearable.
C'est la vie indeed. Alas, I am forced to watch on helplessly as a more brave and seasoned adventurer than I swoops in to save.
Aw, too bad. I was so
Sorry to leave all the heavy lifting.
Don't worry, peace.
Our bond is strong. Hold the line. I'll settle this. Stand with me. Scatter.
Deflect.
Bravo! Good show! You certainly live up to your reputation.
Yeah, thank you. Anyway, the path is cleared now, so onwards and upwards.
Vilma, are you there?
Huh? Oh, it's you guys. Wait, what's Lady Furina?
I can explain. We've been rounding up the whole troop. We now have everyone except...
So, you think knowing the truth about the director's disappearance will help? I care just as much as everyone else about making the little Oceanid a success. That's why, if I open this can of worms now, I just don't want to make things difficult between us. We're supposed to be a unit when we're on... Vilma, avoiding the truth will not... Unless you mean to suggest that Aurelie's death had something to do with... I don't want to talk about it. Listen, Vilma. I used to think that my love for Aurelie was a point of shame. I never... But now, I've made up my mind to put it all on the table. I'm prepared to face everything, to sacrifice. The little Oceanid cannot be complete unless we do justice to Aurelie on an emotional... This is why people think of you as not being the smart one. As you all know already, the troupe was kept afloat not from ticket sales, but donations from the audience. Of course, that was nowhere near enough. We took on side jobs when we weren't performing, but even then, the troupe's financial situation was pretty... So, anyway, one day after a show, a merchant came to me and offered us a huge sponsorship. In return, we just had to provide the audience with their drinks during performances. It seemed like a win-win, so I said yes to it on the spot without consulting the director. It was only when the merchant came to deliver the goods, the drink in question was synth.
Isn't that the drink peddled by the culprit behind the serial disappearances case?
I freaked out when I saw the boxes, and I told the director everything right away, but she didn't reprimand me for making the decision without consulting her. Instead, she contacted the merchant, was furious, berated us for going back on our word, and threatened to sue us for damages. The amount was astronomical. There was no way we'd be able to pay. I was going to sort it on my own, but the director stopped me. She said that this was an issue for the whole troupe, and but things only got worse from there. The synth merchant just wouldn't let up, and then suddenly the director told us all to leave the city one day. I admit this whole thing was my mistake. I didn't dare to tell any of you the truth back then, and after the director disappeared, I was even more afraid to say anything. Yeah, I got Aurelie killed. There, I said it.
Hey, don't say that.
You traitor! You knew Aurelie was in danger. Why in God's name didn't... What do you mean? You were afraid. This was a life and death situation. We could have... How could you be so...
Please, try not to get too worked up.
Yeah, listen to him. You need to...
Stay calm? How can I stay calm? This guy got Aurelie murdered. She was the love... And he has the gall to try and high-road us, claiming that he kept his mouth shut for the sake of the show. How about taking some responsibility for what he's done? All I can say is I'm sorry. Truly. I wanted to apologize to everyone in the troupe, but I'm just a coward who made an awful, terrible mistake that I can never take back. Beat me up if you want. Kill me if you prefer. End my life. So I can meet the director and apologize to her in person. Get out of my sight. Go, get lost. I don't ever want to...
That's enough! You've screamed and shouted at each other for long enough. Can you stop conflating the show on stage with your real-life relationships in the troupe? You keep saying that you want to use this final performance to pay tribute to your director and celebrate her life. How can you do that if you're just using it as an excuse to vent your own emotions?
I'm sorry.
On stage, the lead role is the focal point of the audience's attention. And you're all used to seeing the director as the heart of the... But in her own life, her greatest desire wasn't to be the center of attention. I can tell how much she loved you all, and how much she loved what she wanted was to build a warm home for all of her brothers and sisters, to shield you all from the storms that rage in the world outside. That's how you should remember her. And that's what you should. I understand why you're trying to make her the hero of the story, but isn't she your hero already?
Yeah.
So think hard about what that means. And then think again about what you hope to achieve if you really hate each other and can't reconcile your differences, then you could just call it quits now. Why bother with the final performance but you can't bring yourself to do that, can you? You care too much about Director O'Reilly and the... What are you laughing at?
Sorry, I didn't mean it that way. It's just that, for a moment there, it felt like our director was back with us again. If she'd seen Paulo and Vilmont at each other's throats like that, she would have scolded them exactly like you did, in that same stern...
Really? But she sounded like such a
Of course she was. Even her harshest lectures came from a place of kindness, and it showed. She really was a truly...
What you said, it really puts everything...
I'm truly sorry. I really meant for this to be a genuine apology, but...
It's all right. Let's save...
So, the ending.
Clearly, everyone needs to take a step back for now and reflect on what really matters. When emotions are running hot, the end of the story needs to focus back on O'Reilly herself. She's the true star of the show.
What do you mean?
The Traveler is right. You once investigated that underwater synth base and recovered item. If you could find anything that O'Reilly left behind, perhaps we can get a better sense of what she went through in her final days.
You really think that's...
I trust that nobody would object to the ending of the story being based on O'Reilly's true feeling.
No.
Well, we'll leave...
Come, let's pay a visit to the Palais Mermonia. The rest of you, head back to the rehearsal location for now, and wait...
You want to review some recovered items connected to victims of the serial disappearances case? But, then still, since you were the ones who discovered and submitted the evidence in the first place, you don't actually have to submit an application.
So, this is all O'Reilly left behind. Just whatever she was...
Hey! It's full of script lines! And sketches, too! Looks like they show where the different props should be placed on stage.
Let me take a look. Maybe there's something in here from after she was kidnapped. Aha! I found something. Looks like she kept a detailed record of her captor's actions. She even mentions the truth behind the experiments on dissolving. If we'd had the chance to examine this notebook carefully back then, it would have been a conclusive piece of evidence proving Vacher's guilt.
Vacher took so many lives. It's still so unthinkable how many victims he had.
I guess O'Reilly must have written all of this down in the hope that her records would one day be of use to wait, it cuts off. Her handwriting here gets patchier and more illegible by the line. She probably didn't have much strength left. Her final words are... I'll let you read them for yourselves.
was so terrified.
She may have been a mighty hero in the eyes of her troop, but at the end, I can't bear to think how painful and lonely her final. Wait. This part. If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness.
Isn't that the most important line in the little...
Because I am an older sister to...
Oh.
So she didn't regret her decision. Even as I'm sure this is what the troop would have hoped to hear as well. She had their utmost trust, admiration, and love. Let's go. It's time for...
She deserves a hero's farewell. If that's the only way to convey to the audience the courage and selflessness that she showed in the face of death, then it's a meaningful way to...
Even in the last moments of her life, she was still leaving a trail for others to...
She did her best to protect as many people as possible, even if we know what choice our little Oceanid would have made now. I don't think any more discussion is necessary. Well, Vilmont, if we put the past aside for now, do you think you can bring yourself to go ahead with the show?
I will channel all my regret and put it into my performance. To make this a show worthy, I won't ask for your forgiveness, and you don't need to worry about my feelings. This final farewell show should be about Director Aurelie.
Then it seems like we've reached a consensus. I have a feeling that this will turn out to be the most mesmerizing performance.
Really? How can you be so sure when you've never even seen them perform before?
Don't underestimate my experience. After watching if you want to move the audience with your music, you must fully commit and immerse yourself in your role. And aren't human emotions love, hate? I don't believe anybody could be more committed to bringing this story to life on the stage than they are.
Thank you for the vote of confidence, Miss Furina. And
Then, let's not delay things any longer. We need to discuss the details of the ending and get it nailed.
actually, before that, I'd like to make a during the curtain call. Please allow me to use the director's name instead of my own.
But then...
After all, this role was originally meant to be played by the director. Besides, a role commemorating her life should be associated with her.
Well, if you're sure you're okay with that,
Now we're talking like a... All right. I'll leave you to fine-tune your musical while I go and procure a...
Procure a stage?
Oh, it's okay. Our usual place doesn't need a reservation.
That place? Oh, don't be silly. For an extraordinary show, we need an extraordinary stage. By which I...
Whoa, wait, what?
No. That's never going to work. It's far too fancy for the like.
What are you afraid of? Surely you don't think that Aurelie's story is unworthy of the grandest stage in Fontaine?
No, though.
It is supposed to be your grand finale, right?
I have no problem with it then. I'll take your silence as a yes. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Well, then don't disappoint me. If you mess this up, it'll reflect poor. Come on. We'll need to get the go-ahead from Nervilette. I know just where. Hey, look at that. Looks like I guessed right.
You were just guessing?
I knew you'd be here.
I'm here merely for a short break. It has been a while, Miss Furina. And you too, Traveler in Paimon. What might I assist you with today?
I would like to book the Opera Epiclese for an event.
I understand. The process for booking the Opera Epiclese is complex and can be somewhat cumbersome. But given that the request is coming from the three of you, I see no reason. The story of the little Oceanid is most fascinating. I will say, however, that I am surprised to see your passion for the performing arts rekindled after all that has...
What do you mean?
Yes. And this is the first time that I've seen you like this since your departure from D.
At first, I just felt bad about rejecting them. So I wanted to learn a little bit more about their situation. But one thing led to another, and in the past, we sat in our high chairs in the court, giving our opinions on isolated cases, all while knowing very little about the human stories behind each and every. Maybe it's because I finally become an ordinary person and gained my freedom. But I've developed a great sense of curiosity.
I am truly delighted to see you find a new lease. Now that you've regained some confidence, have you had any thoughts regarding a return to the stage?
Why would you suddenly ask?
Well, if the Little Oceanid turns out to be a great success, it will no doubt become a classic. Many theater companies are certain to add it to their repertoire. The experiences and decisions of the protagonist Cleo are all modeled after your own. Naturally, this makes you eminently suited to playing the leading role. It would truly be a shame if you did not take this opportunity to allow audiences to enjoy your outstanding acting talent.
Haven't I already made myself clear? I won't act or perform nor do I think it is any great shame. There is no lack of fine actors or inspirational. This experience is a case in point. I feel like I've learned a lot, and it has already been well worth. I must admit, though, I'm a little envious. They're quite fortunate to be able to bid farewell to their past and...
I see. Well, I'm glad to learn that you have found a role to play that you enjoy. Be it, I sincerely hope the show will serve as the grandest of finales. I will have my staff book the date and mail the relevant paperwork to the troupe once the details are confirmed.
Thanks, Nervilette.
You are very welcome.
Good news, everyone. It's done. Thanks to my eloquent and impassioned speech, Monsieur Nervilette was moved to provide us with a fitting stage for this. We've had to fight every step of the way for this opportunity. But we now have all of the ingredients necessary to stage a touching story, a magnificent venue, and last but not least, now, let's work together and make this show the best.
This is true.
The sooner we can finalize the ending, the more time we'll have to. Fiamma and I just went over some parts of the script and tweaked a few things. I think it's really going to resonate with the audience.
Wow, you two had a constructive conversation.
Communication is vital to any good.
Look at us. We've come so far.
It's amazing. Even though Furina's still being a bit of a drama queen about it all, she's really fired everyone up.
Please feel free to give us any comments or suggestions you have.
Hey, Loic, get over here. Time to practice the.
Cursed Cleo. She stole the waters of life from us. She's a fraud, and she must pay for her crimes.
This has nothing to do with her. The ignorance and hatred of our people is to blame. How can we hope to win back the water's favor if we don't change our ways?
This guy could be useful. Take him hostage. If Cleo wants him back.
Leave this place, O little Oceanid, and never...
Everyone's really throwing themselves into their roles. I haven't seen such a fine... If only...
What should we do? It's almost time for her to take the stage.
Why?
Hey, what's going on? You're due on stage any... Oh no, not again. But why? What about...
They've been getting less and less effective over time. I've had to keep increasing...
What? I thought they'd cure it. So they were only managing...
I figured whatever it took to get me through this final...
How could you do this to yourself? And after that lecture you gave me about not looking after my health...
I'm sorry. I've let...
You... This is...
Miss Furina?
Say no more. If you're sick, you need to rest. I know... Loic, your character has no more scenes, correct?
Oh, yeah. I think my scenes are all done. Although, I do have one more line. But I guess another guy in the troupe with a similar voice...
Please take Delphi back to her place to rest. I'll... From the sublime to the ridiculous.
Thank you, Miss Furina. I'm so sorry.
Never mind. What's done is done. It's really my own fault for getting in too deep. No one likes regrets. Leave it to me. I've watched you rehearse so many times that I've learned...
I do not doubt your acting skills, but please allow me to ask just one more question. After all, this show is dedicated... What, in your opinion, is the reason Cleo shines so brightly?
It's her pure heart, despite all the pain and loneliness she had to endure. She never once stopped believing in the beauty in this world.
Well said. I leave Director O'Reilly...
Let's get here!
She's not coming!
You're wrong. She's here.
Si je pouvais vivre dans l'eau, le monde serait-il plus beau? Me pardonneras-tu, ô chère mère? L'eau dans son courant fait danser nos vies, et la cité elle nourrit, ainsi que toi, mon doux amour.
But what about your wish?
My wish...
If you become human, you can reveal your secret to no one. You will face suffering and loneliness.
Is this truly what you want?
Le grand amour ne suffit pas, seul un adieu fleurira. C'est notre histoire de vie, douce et amère. Moi, je serai toujours là, à voir le monde et s'inventer, et ça ne changera jamais, jamais.
Is it just me? Or was that Lady Furina on the stage just now? She hasn't been seen for a while now, and she just appears out of nowhere? Gotta say, though, her acting skills are as superb as ever.
The little Oceanid, Cleo, played by Aurélie Fumont.
Wait, that's not her name. I don't know. Maybe it's just a doppelganger.
I've spent a lot of time out of the spotlight, and they didn't use my name during the curtain call either. Hopefully, not too many people recognized me. It's too bad that I had to break the one clear rule I'd managed to make for myself. Still, I have to admit it felt good to be back on the stage again.
Finally, we would like to give a special thanks to our artistic consultant and event coordinator, Miss Furina.
Hey, that's not what we agreed on.
Oh, so it was Furina after all. She's back.
Honestly, what is he doing? He should have run that by me
All right, calm down, don't be mad. This was a group decision. We just didn't want your contributions after all. It's been the rule in Fontaine since ancient times that everyone's work, visible or invisible, is equal.
Yes, I know the rule, but it should still be applied on a case-by-case basis.
It's no big deal. What's the worst that could happen?
Oh, yeah? Well, since you think it's so easy, you can sign them.
This is a great chat and all, but can we talk about that crazy thing that happened during the show? It nearly gave... Paimon flew over to where she was supposed to be and was about to drop the prop vision, and then suddenly, a real one popped out of thin air!
Oh, that. I've got no idea what happened there either. But hey, it worked pretty well, didn't it? I'll bet the audience has never seen such a realistic prop.
Wait, what about Dolphy?
Let's go check on her as soon as we finish clearing the stage.
Yes. Plus, she'll definitely want to hear how the end of the show went. If nothing else, we can safely say that we accomplished what we set out to do.
Ah, you're back. She's doing okay. Her condition stabilized after taking some of her original medication. From experience, though, I'd say she still needs a few more days of rest.
How did the performance go? Was it a success? Did the
You'll be glad to know it was fantastic! Also, you're not gonna believe what happened while Furina was on the stage. You'll probably be able to read all about it in the Steambird first thing tomorrow.
That's wonderful. I'm so sorry I failed to see it through to the end. I guess I was...
Oh, don't worry about it. Like they told me after announcing my name during the curtain call, even though you couldn't see it through to the final scene, the audience was very impressed by your performance.
Well, one way or another, I've had bad luck ever since I was born, so I never expect things to go smoothly in life. I'm just happy to...
Blaming your bad luck again, are we? Maybe if you didn't push yourself past your limits so much, your illness wouldn't...
Oh, don't you start. I don't have the energy to argue.
Aw, you two clearly care a lot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You mean we never stop arguing?
So, any plans for the next step? After the brilliant performance you put on, the reputation of your troupe is sure to spread through Fontaine like wildfire. You won't have to disband if you don't want. You could capitalize on the rave reviews and license out the little Oceanid to the bigger theater troupes out there. That would do wonders for your financial situation.
No, we should still disband.
Yeah, it's what we all agreed.
After all that's happened, I should give you guys some space. But maybe our paths will...
Hey, don't just walk off!
I still want to keep performing, so I might join another troupe. After watching Miss Furina's performance, I think I'm starting to understand our director's infatuation with music.
You should do it. It suits you. I'd originally hoped to keep performing too, but...
Oh, so now you finally got your priorities in order. What about you, Miss Furina?
Well, frankly, I think a return to obscurity is no longer an option for me. I'm sure a slew of consultancy requests will hound me wherever I go until I finally act. You rather sealed my fate there with your special thanks at the end of the show.
Sorry.
It's quite all right. No need to apologize. What I meant to say is that this whole experience has shown me maybe Nervillette was right. Maybe Cleo is the right role for me. I still don't wish to pretend to be someone else, but I do have a desire to express myself. So, maybe the show will go on for me after all. Yeah. There was once a time when I was an actress in a masquerade, but from now on, I want to spend my time learning real stories about real people, and I want to watch them blossom and wither, see them refined on the page, retold on the stage, and remembered long into the future. I'm sure this is what captivated
Sounds like you're ready to stop running from your true calling. The more you get out into the world, the more you'll discover what a fascinating place it is.
If a vision is a gift from the gods, then I should do my best to honor it. It's ironic to think that in my whole time as a god, I could only ever... And now that the gods have given me their blessing, it actually feels more like I'm... Is that...